All right. Good Saturday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Saturday evening going into your future. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Saturday, and we have some stuff that we're going to go on and talk about tonight, weather we're going to go on and talk about tonight. But before we get into that, what is on tap? Well, we will continue to talk about our warm to unseasonably warm temperatures that continue through Sunday. Also, mostly dry condition with only isolated to scattered out afternoon/evening showers and storms are possible through Saturday. Also, cold front approaches Sunday, bringing increased chances for showers and storms, and then the potential for increased fire weather concerns return mid next week. So, a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of it we've already been talking about, but we're going into more of specifics for a lot of this. And one thing that I want you to notice as we go on and talk about our current conditions right now throughout the state is that we have rainfall going on. Now, you have rainfall from light all the way up to heavy. And so you see that all the way from the upstate over near the northern Midlands going on in the western PD areas. And you're looking at this and you may be saying, okay, well, you said showers, maybe thunderstorms. Are there any thunderstorms going on right now? Well, I'm so glad that you asked because there are thunderstorms going on right now. You can see over here in this purple area near Great Falls, over near Camden, near Heath Springs, we have an 88% chance of a thunderstorm with this line that's moving through Kershaw, Heath Springs, Bufford. These areas all have the risk of bringing thunder and lightning with it. Now, this is continuing to move its way over into the east, and I've been watching it as it moved its way over into the east. And for right now, it kind of looks like that it is going to kind of continue to maybe move its way up near Chesterfield, Bennettsville. I think maybe possibly Darlington and Bishopville may be a bit too far to the south. I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe some lightning in the distance, but for right now, looking like that it's going to continue to way up to the east, if not the northeast. We also have a special weather statement over here in the very far upstate. That's for pretty much rural areas that aren't really too populated. But Hendersonville, Brevard's included, Columbus, Flat Rock, Landrum is included in there as well. And I think that includes a good amount of North Carolina as well. But I think the only area in South Carolina, Pumpkintown, Sunset, Rocky Bottom, Landrum, South Carolina, those areas, 40-mile-per-hour wind gust and a quarter of an inch in hail, which is just pea-sized. Now, this one does say thunderstorm activity. Of course, the radar doesn't show anything thunderstorm-wise. And obviously, that's what's going on in the state of South Carolina, but what about the entire U.S.? Well, you can see we have a huge storm system that reaches all the way from, like, Toronto, Canada, all the way down through Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, and continues to move its way up through Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, obviously, Pennsylvania, even some rainfall over here inside of Maine, New Hampshire, snowfall also inside of Maine as well. And you also are seeing some rainfall over here in Montana, but for the most part, looking pretty clear over here in the west as they are having a bit of a quiet evening tonight. Florida continuing to see their rainfall as always. I don't think anyone's too shocked by that. Now, what about for our cloud cover? Well, cloud cover is going on. You see it up there in the upstate. You see it going on in the Midlands. But look at the low country. Look at the Grand Strand areas. Look at the PD areas. Clear. And that's kind of the motto for today. I went out a bit earlier and I saw 0 clouds in the sky. It was nice and blue for pretty much all day. There was some clouds here and there, especially as we went earlier into the day today. But for the most part, as we got more and more into the afternoon, the evening time frame, the sun was out full force. We look at that cloud cover for the future. Obviously, we push this forward, and you definitely can start to see a little bit of a neutral zone in terms of the increase of cloud covers throughout the state. That goes all the way through 5 to 6 Then we get to around 7 o'clock in the morning, and you finally start to see a more robust, a more increasing chance for cloud cover to move its way over into the east. Now that continues to move its way through, and by the time we get into tomorrow evening, we're still talking about widespread cloud cover throughout the state. That goes all the way through 11 p.m. to 12 o'clock in the morning on Monday, and on 12 o'clock in the morning on Monday, moving into the morning hours of Monday, going into Monday night, Monday evening, somewhere around there. We still have some cloud cover trying to move its way through. So definitely make sure that you are aware of that active cloud cover as we continue all the way through tomorrow and Monday. Current temperatures right now, you have around a good 67 in Beaufort and Hilton Head Island, as well as 66 in Somerville, 67 in Charleston, as well as Georgetown, Murray's Inlet, Myrtle Beach. 72 in Orangeburg, as well as 66 in Conway, 73 Sumter, Florence, 75 Hartsville, as well as 74 in Columbia, 72 in Newbury, and 72 in Greenwood, 71 inside of Anderson, and even 72 in Lawrence, 68 Greenville, 69 Spartanburg, and 70 in Gaffney, 72 York. Air quality for tonight, for the most part, we're good. In fact, we are good as we have no moderate, no unhealthy for sensitive groups, no unhealthy or anything like that. So we are all good to go, meaning no bad air quality tonight. Low temperatures for tonight, we have around 63 in Greenville, 62 Spartanburg, 63 Rock Hill, Winnsboro, 62 in Newbury, 64 Columbia and Sumter, 64 Orangeburg, 62 Moncks Corner, 64 in Charleston, 62 Walterboro, Georgetown, 63 Myrtle Beach, 66 in Hilton Head Island. High temperatures for tomorrow, we have around 72 Spartanburg, 73 in Rock Hill, 74 in Greenville, 73 Lawrence, 74 in Greenwood, 75 Newbury, 81 Columbia, 80 Campton, as well as Aiken, 83 Orangeburg, 82 Sumter, Barnwell, 84 Walterboro, Moncks Corner, 79 Charleston, 80 Georgetown, 75 in Myrtle Beach. Rainfall as we go into tonight, going into tomorrow, 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch goes on from Aiken to Barnwell to Orangeburg to Charleston to Hilton Head Island. 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch also goes on for Cheraw, Dillon, Florence, Sumter, Columbia is even included in there. Kingstree is included in there as well. And then quarter of an inch to a half an inch. Greenwood, Lawrence, Anderson, Greenville, Spartanburg, Rock Hill. Even a half an inch to an inch up there inside of the very far upstate. So even though the majority of that rainfall seems to be more on the northwestern side up there in the very far upstate, we're still talking about rainfall threats all the way throughout the state. Everybody has a chance of rainfall throughout the next 24 hours, which honestly is a great thing due to the drought. So you know what? Just for that, we're going to do something out the ordinary. Just going to give a round of applause for that. Beneficial rainfall. I talked about it as we went into the past couple of days about how beneficial rainfall, if you were going to get rainfall and you were hoping for that rainfall this weekend, is definitely the time that you want to get it, because it is probably going to be one of the only times as we go into next week that you may see that rainfall. So this weekend, you definitely want to be banking for rainfall this weekend. Now, in terms of the crazy score, if you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how active the conditions are throughout the state of South Carolina. And this is just for tonight. We're in the mild category. Why? Well, cloudy conditions, that's obviously a concern. Also, we have some shower and maybe some thunderstorm activity going on in the very far upstate, some thunderstorm activity going on also over here inside of the central northern Midlands, the western PD areas as well. And so, because we have this activity going on up inside of the northern parts of the state, and because it's going to go away relatively quickly, we're talking about more of a clearing in terms of this activity, meaning the score is probably a bit lower than what it may actually be if we had widespread shower and thunderstorm activity, or if it was going to continue for more hours. But because we're seeing a downtrend in terms of this activity and a decretion, we're going to see that score get a little bit lower. SPC outlook for tonight, thunderstorm activity is possible, and obviously it's happening right now, so that does make sense up there, upstate, Midlands. Tomorrow, thunderstorm activity definitely is possible, covering honestly the entire state, from the upstate down all the way to the coastal areas. And if you look to the far east of South Carolina, the PD areas, the eastern low country, Berkeley, eastern Charleston County, you have a marginal risk of severe weather. Marginal risk of severe weather, the lowest severe weather risk, but it is there. And we talked about this yesterday. And I said that this marginal risk here, the hazards weren't known yesterday, but today they are known. What is it? It's a damaging wind risk. Isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 40 to 60 miles per hour are possible tomorrow. It's possible tomorrow. So make sure that you are aware of that over there in the eastern parts of the state. I know Easter plans that may not be the best. But we'll go over all the models. We'll talk about the timing, and I will let you know about your Easter forecast in just a little bit in terms of the models. After that, though, Monday comes along. No thunderstorm activity is expected, and that's pretty much expected. We weren't really expecting too much in terms of thunderstorm activity for the good amount of next week, as we are having that dry period move in. Fire weather, that's not expected either, even though we will potentially see a little bit of a increase in fire weather activity as we go into next week. And excessive rainfall. Believe it or not, there is a little risk up there in the very far upstate. Up there, Walhalla is included. Also up here is Salem, going on near Mountain Rest, Long Creek, Westminster, Richland, South Carolina. Isolated flash flooding is possible over there. So if you have not received that flash flooding already, or have not received that risk of isolated flash flooding, it is raining up there right now. Salem, Walhalla, Long Creek, Westminster. It's raining right now. But will it be enough to cause flash flooding? There is a good amount of shower and storm activity that's trying to move its way up into the northeast, into your area. So that may continue throughout tonight. So definitely make sure that you are aware of that. So let's go in and look at the models. Time is at the bottom part. Yes, the bottom part of your screen. That is pretty important to go on and pay attention to, because if you lose track of that, good chance that you may get lost, and we don't want anybody to get lost throughout these models because they can get pretty complex. But as you go through, starting off here at 9 p.m., we have shower activity. You see it more isolated up there in the very far upstate, and you can see as we dry off, as you get into around 12 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, all the way to 3 a.m., and you're starting to see more of a more shower activity starting to move its way up into the very far upstate, even by 3 a.m., kind of trying to pop back up. Now, as you go all the way through 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock, going all the way to 7 o'clock in the morning, what do you see? Rainfall activity starting to increase a little bit more all the way through 8, 9, 10 a.m. And so that's for shower, thunderstorm activity all the way through 9, 10, 11 to 12 o'clock p.m. Here we are noon on Sunday, Easter Sunday, and we now have shower activity continuing to move its way over into the east. Now, not only in just the very far upstate, now we're talking about it more in the southern upstate, more in like the Rock Hill areas, more in like the Greenwood areas, more in areas just to the north of Columbia. And we still have that line behind it. Look at how we have kind of like the lighter shower, the more moderate shower activity, and then we have the moderate to heavy shower activity behind it, more of a thunderstorm risk behind this light shower risk that we have. And I actually have my pen. Light shower risk over here, and then the big storm system, the cold front itself, is right behind it. And so that goes all the way throughout into around 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. And look at how the convection blows up by the time we get into around 2 to 3 p.m. tomorrow, all the way from the upstate down into the low country areas over inside of the PD and the Grand Strand areas as well. That continues through around 4 to 5 p.m., and you can really start to see that heavy rainfall, potentially thunderstorm activity getting going all the way from the PD areas down to the low country by around 4 to 5 p.m. And now we also have some rainfall still behind it, that cold front still there as it continues to move its way over to the east. And by the time we get to around 8 o'clock p.m., 9 o'clock p.m. shower and downpour activity still going on to around 11 p.m., all the way to 12 o'clock in the morning. And we still have shower activity by that point. But going into Monday, a huge breath of fresh air as we have drier conditions going all the way through Monday afternoon. So a lot of stuff to break down there. A lot of stuff to break down, and I'm not too shocked by that. It's going to start all the way in the morning time frame with rainfall in the upstate, and as you get more into the afternoon, it's going to continue to get more widespread throughout the state, cover more areas from the Midlands down towards the coastal areas, and then it's going to shimmy its way over into the east, over into like the Low Country, the Grand Strand areas, the PD areas, all the way through until around 6 o'clock p.m., going all the way to 8, to 9, to 10, to 11, to 12 o'clock in the morning, until finally it moves its way off. But that's just for convection. That's just convection. What about for actual lightning flash density? What's that? Well, it pretty much just shows us where lightning is present. And what do you see? You definitely see some thunderstorm activity. I mean, you see it going on all the way throughout the upstate. You see it throughout the PD areas. You see it throughout the Grand Strand areas. You see it through all the way throughout 6 o'clock p.m., 7 o'clock p.m., throughout the Low Country, throughout the Grand Strand, throughout the PD areas. And not really too much of a shock. We have the marginal risk of severe weather over there in the east, and so that is really what's going to drive, and that's really going to bring probably the most thunderstorm activities over there in the eastern parts, because that is where that marginal risk is. And so that continues through even to around like 10, 11 p.m. You still see thunderstorm activity, even if it's just off the coast. You still see it going on. So thunderstorm activity definitely a possibility, if not probably expected tomorrow. So do not be shocked if you see thunderstorm tomorrow. Now, if you go on and look at the actual ingredients, for the severe weather for tomorrow, we're going to look at the kinematics first. Look at the damage and wind risk. I mean, there definitely is winds up in the atmosphere. That's definitely not a concern. We see it all the way through from the 50s up into the 40s. And so, even as you continue to move your way through, you can see this as it moves its way over to the east. So, it's not the strongest, but it's definitely enough to support a marginal threat. If you continue all the way through into the dew points as well, because dew points are very important. We checked this out yesterday, but dew points are definitely there. Nobody is really discounting that. The moisture is there, and we just need to have one last thing, which is CAPE. Now, CAPE was definitely present yesterday. Let's see if it's still there. We go in and look at the CAPE. We're going to look at the surface base real quick. And what you see? Absolutely. Absolutely, CAPE will be present throughout, not only throughout like the PD areas in the Grand Strand area, but also throughout parts of the Low Country. I mean, you're going to see joules per kilogram of up to 500, 700 joules per kilogram as well. Maybe that's only around 200 there. But you're seeing the majority of that CAPE most likely over here inside of the eastern part, but we were seeing pockets of 1,000. I'm not seeing too much in terms of 1,000. I do see some 700s here or there. I'm not seeing anything in terms of like 1,000s, but I am seeing definitely a good amount of CAPE going on. And so that CAPE will be there to go on and prop up those storms and prop up that severe weather risk for damaging winds tomorrow. So all of that taken care of. Now you know. If you have any questions about it, you still can leave it inside the chat. You need to be a subscriber, though. Speaking of, if you have not hit the subscribe button yet, go in and do so. It's free. I will not be taking a dime from you. Also, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. And hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, and your acquaintances for this great weather forecast that y'all are getting for tonight. But that's just my opinion. Let's go in and talk about the long-term future. So, now that the short term's out the way, long-term future, after this weekend is done, you go into Monday, you go into Tuesday, and you see rainfall activity continuing down to our south, but you're not seeing it throughout the state. That continues all the way through Wednesday. Thursday comes along, and I see like a little bit of activity near like the coastal areas, but nothing really too far inland, nothing really too widespread, and not a huge storm system. That is not what we need, because we have a drought right now. We want the rainfall. Now, we're not hoping for like severe weather or anything like that, or flash flooding. We just want heavy, beneficial rainfall that will go on and just provide a dose to everything. Will we get it this weekend? Definitely heavy rainfall possible this weekend, so there will be some very lucky people this weekend. Hopefully, we all are one of them. But if we continue all the way through Thursday going into Friday, you're not seeing too much of anything. High pressure even takes over for a little bit as well. Then look as we get into next weekend. Nice weekend next weekend. I'll say that for sure. Nice weekend next weekend. Then as we go into the week after next week, what do you see? Monday the 13th, going into Tuesday, Wednesday. You're not really seeing anything until like later parts of that week, Thursday and Friday. Then we get into Saturday, Sunday, and we're still dry. So I'm honestly not too hopeful, and I'm just honestly not too confident on the theory that we're going to go on and get beneficial rainfall to help out this drought throughout the next 300 to 400 hours. I just don't see it right now. That's just my opinion. That can change as we continue and go throughout tonight, as we go throughout the models. Because obviously, once you get to around 300 to 400 hours out, models become just all over the place. They just get all over the place. And so, like I said, this can all change. We have a huge storm system moving through as we go into mid parts of April. That may be the case. Hopefully that is the case, so we can get that rainfall. But for right now, I'm not seeing anything too hopeful right now that we're going to get a good amount of rainfall. And so that's obviously going to aid not only just with the drought risk, but a little bit of a fire weather risk as well. If we go on and look at the we can look at the humidity. Look at the humidity as we go into Tuesday. I mean, look at this. We're down to the 30s. We go into Wednesday, down to the 30s. I mean, this is definitely, I even see maybe a 20, close to a 20 here or there. So, maybe a bit of a fire weather risk as we go into next week. We'll talk more about that once we get there. The National Weather Service hasn't said anything yet, just based off of their outlooks, but you never know. They could definitely add something in there. They can definitely add a little threat in there. So make sure just next week that you are aware of it. You know, if you do burn stuff regularly or you are planning to burn something next week, just keep an eye on it. Just keep an eye on it. Now, if we go on and look at our anomalies, because obviously convection isn't really being too active right now. The temperatures will continuing, as my Aunt Lula says, just being that seesaw weather that we keep on seeing over and over and over again, of switching from cold to warm to cold to warm. So that's really the only thing that's really being active, that's really constantly shifting. But yet, it's South Carolina, so our temperatures are always just shifting back and forth, back and forth. At least that's the ongoing joke that occurs. But as you go throughout Sunday, going through Monday, you definitely can see that drop as that cold front moves its way through Sunday going into Monday. And we have cooler temperatures moving in all the way through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you're not seeing the coldest of temperatures. I mean, you see some 10 degrees below average, some 15 degrees below average. But you're not seeing anything more than that. And once you get towards the end of the week, next week, you're starting to see temperatures starting to get more normal, back to just average, trying to maybe even get a little bit above average by the time we get into Saturday. And then Saturday comes along, and look at these temperatures getting right back up. Sunday, that's why I said next weekend could definitely be a pretty nice weekend, especially if it doesn't rain. Yeah, it does look like that next weekend is going to be a really nice weekend. We'll see how that shapes up as we go more and more into next week, especially as you get into like Wednesday, Thursday. But for right now, it's looking nice. We go into the week after next week, warm temperatures, and that was expected. We've been talking about warm temperatures as we go into the middle part of April for a couple of days now, and we're seeing temperatures 15, 20 degrees above average, but it won't last long. Another cold air blast will be trying to move its way through as we get into not next weekend, but the weekend after, April the 18th, going to the 19th. And we're starting to see those temperatures drop right back down again. So that seesaw weather is continuing, that flip weather is continuing, that, I don't know if I should say that weather is continuing, but we're going to continue to watch it, we're going to continue to monitor it, so we're going to go on and just check it over and over and over again as we get into the next couple of nights. Now, obviously, that's just anomalies. If you want to see what the actual temperatures are, even though it is, pretty far out, and this is a long-term model, It does show us trying to get into the 80s, at least in the Low Country and the Grand Strand areas. I'm not quite positive if you're gonna reach the 80s all the way up there inside of like the upstate or like the Midlands. I know the upstate probably will not reach the 80s. Midlands probably not, but again, Low Country, Grand Strand regions definitely could. As you continue all the way through Monday, here's Monday afternoon, trying to get up into the 60s and 70s, but then Tuesday comes along. Tuesday, we're trying to reach the 70s as well. We may only get some low 70s. Then we get into Wednesday. Wednesday, we may not even reach the 70s. We may have, like, some areas, maybe like the western low country that might, but for the most part, it looks like that we may just stay into the 60s that day. Thursday come along, and Thursday, again, we're looking like we may not even reach the 70s. Friday, going into Saturday, and look at how warm these temperatures get. I mean, we're talking about 80s next weekend potentially. We go into Sunday, we're talking about 80s again, up into maybe even to the mid 80s as we go into Sunday. Monday, going into Tuesday of the week after next week, we're talking about some 80s, and what is that? 90s. Potentially 90s coming in as we go into the week after next week. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens, but 90s could potentially be coming back. And if 90s do come back, we're definitely going to be having a lot to talk about. Definitely going to be having a lot to talk about. And here goes Thursday, April the 16th. And you see for sure 90s. Friday, and then a cold front comes through, ruins all the fun with the 90s, and drops us right back down into the 60s and 70s again for our highs. But that's pretty much all that I have to say in terms of the long-term future. I don't have anything else really to cover. That is, if we go and look at the what's on tap screen, warm to unseasonably warm temperatures continue through Sunday, mostly dry conditions with only isolated scattered evening through Saturday, which is today. Cold front approaches Sunday, and then potential for increased fire weather. We talked about that as well. So now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, as we continue to look, Mr. Chris was here first. He says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for asking. Mount Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Hopefully, everyone had a fantastic day. I did. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Chris also says, got to around 83 degrees here in Moncks Corner. Well, thank you so much for that weather report. Currently, it is 70 degrees. Well, right now, at my house, currently, it is around 68. High temperature today was 82. So, currently 68. High temperature today was 82. Mr. Chris has got a lot to accomplish today, even cut the grass. Well, that's great to hear. Definitely was a good day to go on and do so, as not too much rainfall made it into the low country as we went into today. So, not really anything to really go on and prohibit those plans. My Nana says, hello, Jay. Hello to you. A beautiful day today. Well, thank you so much for that weather report. My Lewis says, in Georgetown, we started out cloudy. However, it cleared up beautifully. Same at my house today. My Nana says, I sat in the sun while my car was being worked on. Well, at least you got some sunlight. And then my Lewis says, today in Georgetown, we reach 80 degrees. Currently, it's 70. Continue our way down. My Nana says, I didn't get my plants transplanted after getting them started yesterday. Well, you should. Well, probably not tomorrow. But Monday, you should be able to, and I definitely would, because obviously Sunday that cold front's going to move through, so it's going to get colder. It's going to start to get chilly. Now, high temperatures obviously aren't going to be down to like the 50s and 40s like it's wintertime, but it's still, even those low temperatures can get down all the way into the 40s, and maybe if you're up there in the upstates, the 30s. Then my Lou says, I was able to do a lot of yard work. Seems like everybody has done yard work today. Continue our way down. Maya Lewis says, wild thunderstorms, hopefully none this way. And then Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Yes, rain is what we need. Exactly. Mr. Chris also says, please remember to go hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share it. It's free, and it helps those who need this information. Absolutely. Right now, we have around a good 15 people that have tuned in tonight, and we only have 10 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 5 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free, and I won't be taking a dime from you. Not a dime, not a penny, not a half a penny, not a quarter of a penny. You keep your money. and I'm not taking anything from you. And then my Aunt Lewis says 90. Wow, that sounds great. I mean, it's definitely possible. It's not confirmed, so don't go around saying, oh, well, SC Weather said that it's going to go on and get into the 90s. Well, no. No, I did not say that. I just said that it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. And that's all that I can see here throughout the chat. So let's go on and talk about the 3 locations outside of South Carolina. If you don't know what the 3 locations are, they're Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. Usually we'd have San Antonio, but we're pausing on that for tonight, and we'll be back to it tomorrow. But for right now, we're going to talk about 3, Raleigh, Philadelphia, and Duncan, Oklahoma. If you don't know why we talk about these 3 areas, because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and give them their forecast for them. Starting off, we have Raleigh, North Carolina. You have low temperatures tonight at 64, high temperatures for tomorrow at 79, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 48. Precipitation is not expected tonight, but tomorrow, showers are expected. Not only tomorrow, but tomorrow night as well. Tomorrow and tomorrow night, showers are expected. Now, if you go on and look at your severe weather, and you go on and look at that excessive rainfall, you definitely do see absolutely nothing. You definitely see absolutely nothing as you go throughout tonight. But tomorrow, severe weather is possible, and you have that marginal risk of severe weather. For tomorrow, same thing with South Carolina. Isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 40 to 60 miles per hour is possible tomorrow, So, make sure that you are aware of that, and make sure you have a plan in place just in case you get that severe thunderstorm warning. And same thing if you're in South Carolina as well. Make sure you have that plan in place as well. In terms of excessive rainfall, for right now, it does look like that you are good for tonight, tomorrow, and just the next 5 days in general. You're good. Now, what about for your future? Does look like that you will be cooling down for sure as you get into next week. I mean, Wednesday, you're going to have a high of 62. Your lows are going to drop down into the 30s. And then as you get all the way through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, your temperatures will start to rise back up. And then even your lows will start to get back up into the 50s. Now, what about for Philadelphia? Low temperatures tonight at 51. High temperature for tomorrow at around a good 70. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 41. There is a chance of showers tonight. In fact, even tomorrow, showers are expected. Maybe even a thunderstorm. Is possible for you. Now, what about for your excessive rainfall, your severe weather, stuff like that? It does look like that you are pretty much in the clear, as you have no severe weather risk. Excessive rainfall also looks like that you are good there as well. Now, in terms of your future, it does look like that you will continue to go on and drop all the way through Wednesday. Seems like that cold front's going to be affecting both areas of the eastern U.S., Raleigh and Philadelphia. But cool down all the way through. Going to have high temperatures down into the 50s. Low temperatures on Tuesday night may even go down to the 20s. So we're talking about freezing temperatures. But don't worry, you're going to warm right back up as you go into next weekend. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at 42, high temperature for tomorrow at 70. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 43, precipitation not expected at this time until like next week, Friday. So you have a long time before you see some precipitation, unless the model changes, which is obviously possible. Obviously, it's possible. Now, excessive rainfall, severe weather for you, I mean, we kind of already just established that you don't have any precipitation, so you don't really have any sort of excessive rainfall either. And so, nor do you have any severe weather, so you're pretty much good there. That no fire risk either, so you seem to be all right. And then for your future, again, like I said, going to continue to be dry. Going to warm up a little bit as you go into Wednesday, but for the most part, pretty steadfast, pretty neutral, pretty the same. As you go all the way through Wednesday, 73. Thursday, you're going to rise up to 78, and then kind of just stay in the upper 70s. But that's all that I can see here. So let's go on now and see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. as those 4 areas are done with. Let's see. From the National Weather Service, they say that showers and thunderstorms will accompany a cold front that will move across the eastern third of the country through Sunday. In the wake of this front, cooler temperatures will follow for most areas east of the Rockies. A wet pattern is expected to unfold across most of Florida this week, with a persistent onshore flow and rip currents. For Hawaii, a return toward more rain the week ahead. That's a weird sentence, but that's what they have. And then in terms of frost, there is a little bit of a frost warning or a little bit of a frost advisory going on right now over inside of Missouri, as they're going to be getting down into the 30s. Also, I don't know if that's my thing, but it does say there is a tornado warning. It's in Louisiana. There is a tornado warning right now inside of Louisiana, and it's up here just kind of like just to the north of New Orleans, around there. So there is an area that of severe weather over there, and honestly, we talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really cover too much. In fact, it's actually just a regular thunderstorm risk, and so that's why I say even when we have the light green areas, the light green thunderstorm risk, you still have to make sure that you're watching for thunderstorms, because Louisiana actually doesn't even have a risk of severe weather technically for now, unless they just updated it. But for right now, they're not even in an official severe weather risk, and they have a tornado warning right now. So that's why you always got to be paying attention. And then tomorrow, obviously, that's our day, from like the eastern South Carolina through eastern North Carolina, eastern Virginia, and then southern New Jersey, going into southern Maryland and Delaware. Everybody else, they should be in the clear. And I think that's about all. So let's go in and check out the chat one more time. I don't see anything else here for me. Let me see if I had any pictures sent in to me tonight. Right now, yes. My Aunt Lula sent me one. Clouds taken at 11:30 a.m. Thank you so much for this weather picture. If you want to go in and send me a weather picture, you can by sending it to scweather360@gmail.com. Again, that is scweather360@gmail.com. Or if you have Twitter, you can go in and at me at 360_weather. Again, that is 360_weather. And that's all that I can see here. So let's go on and end this off with the top fans of the night for tonight. Seems like continuing that battle between Mr. Chris and my Aunt Lula. Let's check it out. We have around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So pretty close, but Mr. Chris got it today. My Aunt Lula's at number 2, and then my Nana's at number 3. So congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time early. Also being a subscriber and being active, because if you are active, you will most likely be to the top. That's all. Make sure you go in and hit those 2 buttons before you leave. And I will be back tomorrow morning for your Easter Sunday forecast update. Make sure that you are there for that. And tomorrow evening, Sunday evening forecast update, that being for the week, the first full week of April, April the 5th, going into April the 11th. Make sure that you're there tomorrow night, as that will be a pretty big forecast to cover.